Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at another tier list. We're going to rank every single shadow Pokemon right now, which is going to be available in the game at the current time. So like it's all the Pokemon that you can currently get for PvP. It's only PvP, not PvE at all, because I kind of don't really want to make it too complicated. We're going to start in immediately and we're going to go by the grunts itself, as well as of course the leader. We actually don't have Regigigas in here, but I think everybody knows where that's going to belong anyway. But we're going to start here already with the first Pokemon, which is going to be actually also an S tier Pokemon, which is going to be the Bellsprout here. This Pokemon is definitely an S tier pick for me. Very cool in the Great League, very good Pokemon to have for sure. Wouldn't put S+. S+ is basically literally something that you need to have, but this Pokemon Victreebel is very good in the Great League, so definitely something that you can get. Going to be available at a different grunt as well, which you're going to take a look at afterwards. But next one going to be Cliff. Cliff going to be also a very cool Pokemon, like having a cool Pokemon here with Dratini, the first S+ tier Pokemon here for sure. Very strong in all leagues for Go Battle League, even the Master League. In every single league, it's really good. Then we're going to have Sierra, which is going to have also a very strong Pokemon for Go Battle League, which is going to be the Sableye. Again, for me, an S+ tier pick. You kind of want to have it, especially purified though. Not even like really as a shadow Pokemon, but as a purified Pokemon. Very cool pick there. And then we're gonna see the Decoy Grunt. This Decoy Grunt you can get basically when you have a Super Rocket Radar, which allows you to basically see those basically disguised as Giovanni. And they're going to also grant you the Bellsprout most of the time. 10% chance also to get either the Raticate or the evolution of Bellsprout, but you also have a shiny chance here, which is a little bit higher than the normal one from the leader. But very cool addition there as well to get this from here. But we're also going to have Raticate here, which I'm going to put into the C tier. Raticate has some potential in the future maybe, but it's a little bit too squishy, but has Quick Attack and Dig plus Hyper Fang, which is kind of okay as a moveset. Then we're going to have the Bug Leader, which is going to have actually quite a few of the Pokemon here. We're going to have the Ladybar first. Ladybar is a Pokemon that has some potential in the future for sure. Going to be, for me, an A tier pick. Currently, not really that viable for the Go Battle League, but has some potential for the future. Very interesting Pokemon. Pineco is going to be also kind of an A tier pick. Has also some potential for the future, but is currently not really the best Pokemon. Sometimes very decent in some special cups, but right now not really the best one. And for me, actually an S tier pick. I kind of want to say as well why. I recently played this Pokemon, Galvantula, Shadow Galvantula in the Great League. I had so much fun with this Pokemon. It's really good in the current meta. A very cool Pokemon to just dish out a lot of damage for me. One of my favorite Pokemon to use. That's why it's maybe a little bit biased. Maybe you want to put it into the A tier pick. I kind of actually want to put Pineco into the B tier a little bit more, but I feel like this is kind of accurate for this. Then you're going to have Weedle, which is also an A tier Pokemon in my opinion. Right now, cool Pokemon to have. You don't really need to have it though, but with Drill Run plus Buffed Exeter plus Foul Stinger plus Poison Jab as a shadow Pokemon, very cool. Next one going to be actually one of the most underrated grunts, which is going to be the Fairy type variant here, which is going to have the Snubbull, which we're going to have here as well, which is for me an A tier pick. Very cool in both the Ultra League as well as the Great League as a shadow variant. You can use it with Snarl, you can use it with Charm. Very cool Pokemon here. Then we're going to have the Rolls, which maybe some people disagree with me, but I feel like it's a little bit worse than the Snubbull. For me, it's a B tier Pokemon. You can use it in some certain metas for sure, like Psychic Cup, it's one of the best Pokemon. But otherwise, I feel like Snubbull and like Granbull has a little bit more potential actually as a Shadow Charm user just because of the better coverage. Now with the Ice type move that buffs its own attack, Triple Axle, actually it has some more play, but I feel like still it's kind of accurate to put it into B. And then we're going to have the Shadow Mowell, would put it into A tier as well. Has some potential. Again, it's not really the biggest meta Pokemon. You don't really see it too often. I feel like it has a little bit less play than, for example, even the Granbull, but feel like it's kind of accurate in the A tier for sure. Otherwise, the other Pokemon that you can only get from the Fairy type grunt, I didn't even show it completely, I think, is going to be the evolutions mainly of it. So like, I don't really want to put these same Pokemon in there again. So next one, we're going to have the Grass type grunt, which is going to have the forgot the name of this Pokemon, but you can see it on the screen anyway. Has two evolutions with Blossom as well as the Vileplume. Oh, Oddish, it's the name. Oddish, I would put actually into B tier. Blossom actually is really decent. Blossom has access to Dazzling Gleam, Leaf Blade plus Bullet Seed. Needs maybe some kind of different better charge move, and that would be really, really cool. So definitely something that's kind of interesting to take a look at. So I feel like it's a little bit underrated, but of course not really that ideal. We're still going to have here, for whatever reason, again, the what's called the Victreebel basically there, the pre-evolution, where I forgot the name again, Bellsprout here in this grunt as well. So you have 3 different grunts that has Bellsprout for whatever reason. And then we're going to have the Cacnea, which is going to be the first D-tier pick. I don't see this Pokemon ever having play, to be fair. So I kind of would put it into the lowest tier possible. Next one going to be the normal Grunt. The normal Grunt is going to have a 30% chance to give you a Meowth, which is also a Pokemon that is somewhere kind of lowish in my opinion. So we're gonna put Meowth into the C tier in my opinion. It has maybe some potential if the evolution gets a better fast move. Right now it has Scratch, but it already has Night Slash, which would be really cool. But right now not really the best Pokemon. And next up we're going to be the next normal type Pokemon here, which is going to be the Purugly here. This Pokemon is going to be fairly decent actually in the current meta. I would not put it higher than something like Morwell, so for me that's like kind of into the B tier. You can use it. It has Shadow Claw, it has Thunder, it has some Aerial Ace as well, which now got buffed a little bit, so this Pokemon has a little bit of potential, but right now it's just not really a great Pokemon. Next up going to be the Poison type Grunt. Having access to the Cantonian variant of Grimer, plus the, what's called the Pokeball fake Pokemon, forgot the name of it. But this one, the Amoonguss later on, would actually have some potential if it gets a better fast move again, or like in general better moves. Like the stats of this Pokemon is actually very decent, one of the best Pokemon in VGC, but in Pokemon Go sadly currently with Astonish as the best fast move. Not really ideal, so we're gonna put it into C tier, but it has some potential in the future, while the Grimer definitely going to be up a little bit higher. Grimer for me is kind of even into the S tier. I feel like this Pokemon has just so much potential and so many different kind of cups and variants that it's a really cool Pokemon to have, either as a Grimer or the Muk. I really like the Shadow Muk in the Ultra League in my opinion, really cool Pokemon just because of the coverage, but plus Grimer has some potential to be very decent as a Mud Slap user or a Poison Jab user in certain metas. For example, now in the Halloween Cup was a very cool Pokemon with Mud Slap, so very cool Pokemon there. Also has a shiny chance, which is interesting, so cool for the people that are still hunting for it. Then we're going to have the typeless. You also see always like what they say next to it, which is kind of nice here for this website. I'm going to link the website, by the way, in the description as well, but don't forget about it. We're going to have the 3 starters next, and the 3 starters are going to be all in different tiers. The Charizard or like the Charmander is going to be for me an S tier Pokemon for sure, a little bit lower than the other two, but for sure an S tier Pokemon. Then we're going to have the Bulbasaur, which, or like S plus tier, I wanted to say. The Bulbasaur, which is going to be an S tier Pokemon, not S plus for me, but S tier for me. Very solid Pokemon still. The current meta got a little bit better this season. And then we're going to have the Squirtle, which is for me an A tier Pokemon. So they're basically all next to each other here. I'm gonna put them a little bit lower though, because I feel like there's a little bit, like S tier is still going to be some more decent Pokemon coming up for it. Don't worry about it. But for me, that's kind of what it looks like right now. Then we're going to have the Dark type Grunt getting access to the Raticate here is the Alolan variant. For me, an A tier Pokemon actually. Has insane amount of bulk, like really good bulk. Really good attacks as well with Crunch, especially if you purify it with Return. It's a really cool Pokemon. Sadly, the current meta is not really for it, but there were metas where it was really decent, and I feel like it still has some potential in the current meta, especially as it completely destroy some Pokemon like Lickitung. So this Pokemon has actually a lot of potential. I really like this one, so I'm gonna put it into the A tier, not S tier for sure, but A tier for sure. And we're going to have the Alolan Grimer here. And honestly, I feel like the Alolan Grimer is a little bit worse than the normal Grimer. And this is like, honestly, you could see it completely differently. So I'm going to put it into a high A tier. But yeah, both of them are fairly decent. But I feel like I like the normal Grimer a little bit more in the current meta. It might shift with different metas though, so we can move on to the next one. We're going to have the Dragon type Grunt. And again, remember, this is mainly for PvP. I'm going to put the Executor into the C tier rank. It's not really anywhere else to be seen, to be fair. Like, it needs a better charge move, like a better cheap charge move, basically. If it was like something like Breaking Swipe, it would make this Pokemon maybe viable. But otherwise, it's going to be a pretty bad Pokemon. And otherwise, you're going to have here as the next one, the Garchomp variant there, like the... forgot the name, Gibble. And for Gibble, I'm gonna put it into low S tier just because it's cool for the Master League, but it's more kinda, like, it would deserve more the A tier in my opinion, or B tier, but just because it's Gibble, I'm gonna put it a little bit higher. But yeah, just like, this Pokemon is not really always needed for anything, to be fair, but it's a cool Pokemon, so I gotta kind of put it up there. Just a little bit of bias there, but you know already what I mean, I think. Next one, we're going to have the Electric type Grunt, introducing 5 different Pokemon actually, which is kind of wild. We're going to have here the Zebstrika, Going to be for me the C-tier Pokemon again. Has a lot of potential though. So maybe actually, nah, okay, because it never really had any crazy use or whatever, I'm gonna put still C-tier, but has some potential if it gets Volt Switch. There's going to be a video towards that tomorrow, by the way, so definitely check that one out. Then we're going to have the next electric type Pokemon, the Geodude. I'm gonna put into B-tier. Has some potential. It's okay and sometimes in some metas, but usually not really that great. We're going to have the Shinx, which sadly got really nerfed this season as well, so we're going to put this into the C tier as well. Basically similar to the, actually I kind of put it into the low B tier. I think that's a little bit more accurate. Again, if it would get Volt Switch, it would be way better there, so that's going to be an interesting one there. We're going to have the Volt Orb, which also for me is a B tier Pokemon, so it's not really that great. And then we're going to have the Mareep, which for me is an A tier Pokemon. It's not S tier in my opinion. It's okay, it's cool to have for the Ultra League mainly, but yeah, for me it's kind of somewhere in the higher up A tier for Mareep. So that's basically this grunt here. Coming up next is going to be the fighting type grunt, where we're going to have another S tier Pokemon actually, which is going to be the Hisuian Sneasel, or like Sneasel there. This Pokemon has a lot of potential in the Great League as well as Ultra League, so I definitely want to put this very high up into the S tier. I feel like it's really deserved this one here, so we can move on now to the next one, which is going to be the both Hitmons. Hitmontop is not available anymore, which is kind of sad because it was just recently introduced, so Hitmonlee as well as Hitmonchan. Hitmonlee is for me a C tier pick, like you don't see it at all. Like ever, and Hitmonchan here is going to be an A tier pick because it has a lot of decent coverage, has access to counter, very cool Pokemon, especially for the Ultra League in my opinion. Would be better in the Great League as well if Medicham would be banned, but that's that. So next one going to be now the Fire type Grunt, going to have access to Vulpix. In my opinion, a low S tier Pokemon. Very interesting for the Great League, very strong Pokemon there, kind of underrated. Someone got to rank 3 on the regional with this Pokemon as well and said it was really decent for them, so I have to say that this Pokemon is kind of underrated. Actually, I won the regional before as well. So putting it into S tier is the only logical thing in my opinion. But the other two are not really that great. I don't see, like honestly, I don't see how this Pokemon ever going to be able to camera up in general. Never going to be able to do really anything. Very bad typing. Incinerate is very sluggish. Yes, you're going to be able to one-shot a lot of opponents. Maybe I'm going to put it into C tier because it still does some decent damage, but it's not a great Pokemon. And then we're going to have the Litwick, which just got released, and I have to put it into C tier as well. Like, it's not really a decent Pokemon either. Again, this is for PvP, not PvE, so if you wonder why this is so low, like in PvE, I think it's really strong, great attacker, so that's mainly why. Next are going to be the Flying Grunt, actually, not the Poison, which is going to have the Zubat here, which you're going to definitely put into the S tier. Golbat is really strong in the Great League. Crobat has some potential in the future. If it gets like Wing Attack, would be really cool for the Ultra League, but right now, not really that great. Then we're going to have the Natu, which is going to be definitely into the D tier. Like, this Pokemon will most likely never be very decent. And the next one is a little bit awkward because the Ducklet, you can decide if you want to put into S tier for like Little Cup. Like Little Cup, this Pokemon is fairly decent, but then again, for Little Cup, the normal variant, I feel like it's a little bit better than the Shadow variant. I'm gonna put it into A tier here just for the Little Cup, but yeah, again, like I feel like Little Cup shouldn't really be the biggest thing to value those Pokemon, so we can move on to the next one, which is going to be the Ghost type. Going to have the Ghastly. Ghastly is going to be also a cool Pokemon for me, an A tier Pokemon for sure. Very squishy, cool Pokemon for like the Great League with Haunter. Has some potential. Tried out recently also in the Great League, which there is going to be a video coming up as well on my channel. But yeah, it's a very interesting Pokemon, a very silly Pokemon to be fair. It's a cool one though. Next one going to be the Banette, which I have to put into the C tier. Was cool in the first seasons, right now it's not really the best Pokemon. It has some potential though, like you can play it. It has Shadow Ball and Thunder, plus Shadow Claw, plus Dazzling Gleam as well, I think, which is kind of cool. So for me it's a C tier pick. It definitely has some stuff that it can do, but it's just not really that great. Also will never be like very overpowered either. And then we're going to have the final one being the Dusklops, or like the Dusknoir and the Duskull, which I have to put into the B tier. Has some potential, very interesting Pokemon. Needs a better fast move and it would be very strong. I think it learns, I don't know if it learns Shadow Claw. If it would be nice. But right now with Hex, Shadow Punch, Ice Punch, Fire Punch, I think Thunder Punch it learns. I don't think it learns Thunder Punch, but Return is really decent. Poltergeist got buffed, so like this Pokemon has some potential. Very great coverage, decent stats, but also very low HP stat, which is kind of sad for it. But it's right now not really the best Pokemon to use. Speaking of very good Pokemon to use though, we're going to have the Shadow Quagsire. For me, that's an S tier Pokemon. You could argue for S+, maybe, but Quagsire itself, going to get a new community day, but Awkward Tail is not really ideal for it, so we're gonna put it here into the S tier pick as well. Definitely a strong Pokemon though, so definitely something that you can get. Drillbur is for me an A tier Pokemon, or maybe even actually B tier. Yeah, it's A tier. I'd say it's A tier. It's a little bit of lower A tier in my opinion. Cool Pokemon to have for the Master League, otherwise it's kind of awkward. I played in the Ultra League before, it was kind of nice. Yeah, A tier I feel like is kind of where it deserves to be fair. But you don't really need to have this Pokemon either. It's not really the craziest one. Same kind of goes for Rhyhorn. For me, an A tier Pokemon has some potential. Is it the best Pokemon ever? Don't really think so. So yeah, they kind of deserve the spot here. And then we're going to have the Hippowdon, which is going to be, for me, a B tier pick. Again, something that can be very decent, has decent stats, has decent coverage moves, has Weather Ball Rock, I think, has Body Slam, has Earth Power, and has just the Elemental Fangs as a fast move, which is not really ideal, so it could have some potential in the future as well. Next one going to be the Ice-type Grunt, which is actually one of the best grunts available right now, giving you access to the Alolan Sandslash S tier plus for sure at the current time. Best Steel type Pokemon for the Great League as well as for the Ultra League most likely. Then we're going to have the Alolan Ninetales, which is in my opinion S tier pick, like not S plus but S tier pick, which is also really something that you kind of want to have for the Great League. Really cool Pokemon, deserves its spot for sure. And then you're going to have the Piloswine, or like the Mamoswine here for example as well with that Pokemon. I have to put into A tier. It's kind of funny for the Master League to have a Shadow Mamoswine, but again, it's PvP, not PvE. For PvE, this Pokemon would be top tier. For PvP, it's not really the most interesting Pokemon. Next, I'm going to be the Psychic-type Grunt, getting access to Abra. Abra, again, is just way too squishy for this kind of area, so we're going to have to put it into the C tier. It is interesting, though, with Counter, Fire Punch, and Shadow Ball in the Great League, but again, you just don't really have the bulk for it. It's not really a good Pokemon at all. Naruto we already ranked. We're going to also rank now the Girafarig. In my opinion, an A tier Pokemon, especially as it's going to have another evolution coming up as well, which most are going to benefit from the Shadow bonus as well. So definitely try to keep some for them. Maybe not power them up fully yet, because you would be able to maybe evolve in them and use it as like a Great League Farigiraf, I think it's called, the evolution, which can come soon into the game as well, so that's going to be interesting. And then we're going to have here next one, the yeah, I forgot the name of it, it doesn't really matter, Spoink or whatever it's called. I think it's just going to be D tier, like literally really bad. Next one going to be now the Rock-type Grunt. And this is going to be an interesting one, because you actually have going to have here 6 different Pokemon with this one. We're going to have the Geodude, which we already ranked before, which is also in the Electric-type Grunt. 80% chance, which is kind of wild. 10% chance only for the fossils. The first one is going to be, of course, the Rock-type. I forgot the name of it, sorry. Like, forgot the name of this Pokemon. But you see it anyway. The Cranidos is the pre-evolution, I think it's called. So definitely a D tier. Like, this Pokemon has nothing to do on PvP. Interesting Pokemon for the PvE side though, best Rock-type attacker most likely. But then we're going to have the Bastion, and for me this is an S tier Pokemon. Shadow Bastion actually has some potential. Also, a lot of people actually ask me why Shadow Pokemon, like, can you not just take a high attack variant of a normal Pokemon? But no, you cannot, because you basically lose the HP stat. Shadow basically gives you a plus 20% boost for attack and minus 20% on defense, but the HP doesn't really matter. So if you have basically a Pokemon with high attack stat normally and non-Shadow, you are not going to get to the exact same level, so you're going to be a lower level, which allows you not to get the extra stats for the HP in, which basically sucks. So that's why Shadow Pokemon are better than high attack normal variants. But yeah, Bastion, something that you definitely can try to hunt for. The normal one is mostly still better, but the Shadow one has some potential for sure, so that's kind of cool. Like, honestly, the Golem, the normal Golem or whatever, this is not going to be that nice, so the Graveler we're going to put into the C tier. Then we're going to have the other fossils from Generation 3. Credilli has some potential for the Ultra League, so B tier, and the other one, honestly, like, Armaldo has like such a bad moveset, such a bad typing, such bad stats. D tier for sure, really bad Pokemon sadly. As we can now move on to the Steel Grunt, we already have some of them covered here. Okay, one of them covered with the Alolan Sandslash in the S tier, but the other ones, the Diglett for sure D tier, never going to be usable. Aaron, I'm going to put you into the C tier, it's mostly never going to be usable either. And then we're going to have the Metagross here basically, and I only gonna put him into the A tier because, again, it's PvP PvP and not PvE. So for PvP, Shadow Metagross is kind of funny sometimes in some limited metas for the Great League, and has some potential for the Master League, but the normal one is usually preferred, so like you don't really need it too much. So I'm gonna put it into the A tier here. As we can move on to the next grunt, type list, winning is for winners, going to be always the Snorlax, which is kind of cool. We're going to put the Snorlax into the S tier pick. It could be S plus nearly for the Ultra League, but I feel like the meta kind of shifted against it, so I'm going to put it into the S tier normally here. And then we're going to have the water type grunt coming up next, which is going to have the water, the water type Pokemon there, of course, which is going to be the Psyduck. Going to be, for me, C tier, has some potential in the future. The Shelder, also kind of C tier. It is okay to use, but they are just better variants of it. For example, Dugong has the same typing, more bulk and better stats, and better moves as well. And then we're going to have here also the Wishcast, which is kind of cool, for me, low S tier pick. And then we're going to see Magikarp for the water type grunt, which is male. You don't see it on the screen because my face cam is in front of it, but I think you're going to already know this one. And I'm going to put this one into the S tier. So this is going to be the final tier list here for all the different current Pokemon that are available in grunts. So hopefully this helps you. Hopefully you saw all the different kind of grunts that are available in general. And this is going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.